When things fall apart, it rarely happens in one loud, dramatic moment. It's usually quieter than that, a slow unraveling, the subtle signs that wear you down piece by piece. That night, I waited for Samantha to come home. Midnight passed, and with it, my patience. She'd gone out with her friends, saying she needed some space. But when the door finally creaked open, and I saw her, my stomach dropped. She looked like she'd been through a storm. Her hair was wild, her clothes were frayed, loose like they'd been tugged at. And then there was something else, something I couldn't pretend not to notice, a faint wetness on her thighs. I froze. The air around her carried a scent, cologne. Not hers, not mine, someone else's, a stranger's. I said nothing as I helped her to bed. I cleaned her up in silence, trying to suppress the dread clawing at my insides. "What happened, Sam?" I asked as gently as I could, though my voice trembled. Her eyes were glassy, unfocused. She could barely look at me. It didn't mean anything. Just once. "I'm sorry," she murmured, her words thick with alcohol. Those words hit harder than anything else could have. Sorry for what? I wanted to scream. I wanted answers. But I didn't press, not then, not while she was like that. I swallowed everything, the questions, the anger, the heartbreak. I tucked her in and stepped out of the room, barely able to breathe. A part of me still wanted to believe there was some misunderstanding. But deep down, I already knew. Something had happened. Something that might be beyond forgiveness. By morning, when the alcohol had left her system, I knew it was time to face the truth. I had barely slept. My mind had been trapped in a loop, reliving everything. Her words, the smell, the state she came home in. I sat at the kitchen table, waiting. Photos laid out in front of me like a silent accusation. Samantha emerged slowly, still wearing the same crumpled clothes from the night before. Her eyes were red, heavy with exhaustion and guilt. She froze when she saw the photographs. I had taken them the night before, not to shame her, but because I needed something tangible, something real when my thoughts felt like a nightmare. A close-up of the stains. A faint handprint near her waist. I didn't want to believe it, but there it was, evidence I couldn't ignore. "Do you even remember what you did last night?" I asked. My voice was low, not angry, but aching. Her face crumbled, and she broke down right there in the kitchen. Tears streamed down her face as her shoulders shook. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "It was a mistake. I didn't mean for it to happen. I couldn't take it anymore. A mistake." I repeated, cutting her off. "You didn't just stumble into this. You made a choice. You went to that bar, got drunk, and you let someone else touch you." She tried to explain, tried to make it about the alcohol, about not thinking clearly. But it didn't matter anymore. Her apologies felt hollow, like they weren't for me but for her, as if she was trying to ease her own guilt rather than truly understanding what she'd done. That realization gutted me more than anything else. "I need some air," I said, standing up. I couldn't sit there watching her cry for herself. I walked out, leaving her behind, alone with the damage she caused. You don't just brush something like this under the rug. Not when trust has been shattered. Not when your entire world feels like it's cracking beneath your feet. I tried to bury the questions, but they kept clawing their way back up. Who was he? Why her? And most of all, how long? Her confession had been messy, but one name had slipped through: Adam. That was all I needed. With social media, it didn't take long to find him. Adam was exactly what I expected. Clean-cut, smooth-talking, a picture-perfect type. The kind of man who could get away with anything. What hit harder, though, was the realization that he wasn't a stranger. Samantha followed him. He followed her. This wasn't a one-time accident. It was a connection. Then I found out something that made my stomach twist. Adam was married, and not just married. He had children. His social media was a highlight reel of domestic bliss. Family vacations, birthday parties, weekend barbecues, warm morning routines. He looked like he had it all. But then again, so did I until now. The more I looked, the clearer it all became. This wasn't random. This was planned. I needed more. I needed the full truth, even if it broke me. So when she was asleep, I went through her phone. I told myself it was for closure, but maybe it was just desperation. The messages were brief, casual, but damning. Adam had known she'd be at the bar. Their texts were light, teasing, just enough to suggest a shared understanding. He showed up because she would be there. It wasn't coincidence. It was arranged. My hands shook as I read them. They hadn't laid out every detail. But they didn't need to. I saw enough. It hadn't been some drunken accident. It had been deliberate, calculated. And that's what broke me all over again. It was obvious they both knew exactly what they were doing that night. Watching them together left no room for doubt. That was the moment I made my decision. Adam's wife had the right to know who her husband truly was. She deserved honesty, just like I had. After confronting him, my next step would be a focus on Samantha. The divorce was already in motion, but I needed closure before I could fully walk away. I had his name. I had the proof. Now I had a plan. This wasn't about revenge. It was about doing what was right. If my marriage was falling apart, his wouldn't remain untouched. I wrestled with the decision to reach out to Adam's wife, Charlotte. Some might say it wasn't my place, but I didn't see it that way. She had every right to the truth. So I sent her a message, carefully worded, asking if we could meet. She replied that same day, and we arranged to meet at a quiet little cafe downtown. It was neutral ground, somewhere emotions wouldn't spiral out of control. Charlotte was already there when I arrived, sitting alone at a small table. She had a calm, understated look, dark hair pulled back, a simple outfit, and a nervous energy about her. She seemed confused but greeted me kindly. When she mentioned Adam, I saw the affection in her eyes, and that made what I had to say even harder. I didn't try to cushion the blow. I told her straight, "Your husband had an affair with my wife." Her smile vanished. Her hand trembled as she lowered her cup. For a moment, she just stared at me like she couldn't quite register what I'd said. Then I laid out the evidence. Screenshots of their messages, photos from that night, even a recorded confession where my wife said his name. She looked at everything in silence, her face growing paler with each piece. Tears welled in her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. Not yet. She sat frozen, trying to process it all. When she finally spoke, her voice trembled but was firm. "Thank you for telling me." I nodded and got up to leave. There was nothing more to say. What came next for her, and Adam wasn't mine to worry about. As I walked away, a storm of feelings turned inside, anger, relief, and guilt. But my focus had to be on reclaiming my life, starting by letting go of what was left of my marriage. Back home, everything felt different. The house didn't feel like home anymore. Samantha moved like a ghost. Weighed down by guilt, I could see in every glance, every word. She tried to fix things. There were tears, pleas, promises. She said she'd go to counseling, do anything to make it right. "Please," she kept whispering, "don't give up on us." She left notes everywhere, little pieces of desperation hidden in my coat or on my pillow. "I love you," they said. "I'll never hurt you again." At first, I read them. Then I stopped. She started cooking my favorite meals every night, hoping to create some sense of normalcy. But I couldn't sit across from her and pretend it hadn't happened. A part of me wanted to believe her. I wanted to forgive. I wanted to salvage what we had built. But every time I thought about her with someone else, the pain returned like a punch to the gut. The trust, the respect. It was gone. One night, she found me in the living room. Her face was swollen from crying. Her voice cracked when she said my name. "Please, Brad," she whispered. "I love you. I'll do anything to fix this." I looked at her then. Really looked. "I don't think so," I said, my voice calm but unwavering. She broke down, collapsing to the floor, sobbing as if her heart couldn't take the weight of it. For days after that, the house was silent. No yelling, no begging, just the heavy stillness of everything she had done. I'd hoped the quiet might help us see clearly, but deep down I knew the truth. Some damage can't be undone. During those quiet days, I focused on preparing for the next chapter. I sorted through papers, finalized accounts, and packed away memories. I revisited our past, every laugh, every fight, and tried to see if there was anything left worth holding on to. But in the end, it was enough. One morning, I found her sitting in the living room, staring at the floor. She looked up when she noticed me. Her eyes were red and swollen. Her body slumped with exhaustion. I held the divorce papers in my hand. I hesitated, not because I had doubts, but because I understood what it meant. This was truly the end. You made your choice that night, I said, my voice steady. This is mine. I placed the papers in front of her. She went rigid. Her hands trembled as she reached for them. Brad, no, please, she begged, her voice cracking. We can fix this. I'll do whatever it takes. She dropped to her knees, holding onto my hand like it was the only thing keeping her upright. But I knew it was over. I gently pulled my hand away. I can't, I said. I've tried, Sam. I really have. But I can't look at you the same way anymore. I can't look at us the same way. My tone didn't rise. It didn't need to. The finality was already there. I walked away, leaving her sobbing on the floor behind me. As I stepped out of the room, a strange calm washed over me. Grief, yes, but also a sense of relief. For the first time in a long time, I could breathe again. This wasn't the ending I wanted, but it was the one I needed. Some betrayals cut too deep to ever heal. Hers was one of them. It's strange how something that once meant everything can end in such emptiness. But that was my new reality. I left the marriage alone, but free. At first, I couldn't even sleep in our bedroom. Her scent lingered, and with it, the memories. I stayed on the couch instead. But little by little, things started to change. I began to shift my focus from what was missing to what could be. I got new furniture, moved things around, repainted the walls. It wasn't just a change of space. It was a declaration. This is mine now. I wasn't just rebuilding a home. I was rebuilding myself. The cracks were still there. The scars remained. But with time, they started to hurt less. In their place, something new began to grow. Peace. I don't know what became of Samantha after we signed the papers. We stopped talking. I heard bits and pieces. She struggled. Life wasn't easy for her. And maybe it shouldn't have been. People always say time heals, but I don't believe that. Time doesn't erase pain. It just teaches you how to live with it. For me, healing meant learning to embrace solitude. I'd rather have quiet peace than a life tainted by betrayal. As for Samantha, I hope she learns to live with her choices. Not for me, but for herself. In the end, we both lost something. I lost a woman I thought I knew. She lost the life we built together. But the difference is, I found something in return. I found myself. And that made every painful step worth it.